All right, so last time we stopped at looking at, we were formulating this realty example where we're trying to buy townhouses or apartments, right? So let's go pull up that formulation that we did. Here it is. Let's make it bigger. We let T equal the number of townhouses to purchase, A equals the number of apartment buildings to purchase, maximize, and I did this in thousands, 10,000 times T plus 15,000 times the number of apartment buildings. That was net present value stuff that we were doing, right? Subject to a budget, subject to the um, hours of property management time, and then also made sure we stayed under the number of townhouses available to us. And then we said non-negativity. Notice that what we did not do here was say anything has to be integer. There's a reason I did that. First, what I want to do many times is I want to try to solve it as a linear program and hope that I get integer answers. So we saw examples of that in the last unit, Unit 5, where I was solving linear programs and getting integer answers. So let's hope that this one does the same thing, right? So what we're going to do is put this thing in Excel and try to solve it. All right, so let me bring up, I don't have an Excel open. So let me open up Excel and try to put this formulation into Excel. All right. So we've been doing output in row 2. We had townhouses and apartment buildings. All right, so really townhouse, right? And then we had objective function, and we did this in thousands, so I'm going to put that in parentheses to remind us that that's what we did. Here we had 10 and 15, and subject to constraints we had budget or funds in thousands, and each townhouse cost 282,000. Each apartment building cost 400,000, right? And we need to stay under our budget, which was 2 million, so that's 2,000. And then let's make this pretty. And the other constraint we had was time, right? Property management time, so I'll just call it time. This was in hours. And so it was, what was it? Let's go back to, where are you here? 4 and 40. Okay. 4 and 40. And we had a total of 140 hours per month. And then townhouse availability. Here's a 1, a 0, and there are only a total of 5 townhouses available to us. All right. And so now we're doing left-hand side over here, right-hand side here, and we want to make sure that these are our output variables. So I like this blue color that we've been using. I'm also going to make this one blue for later. And again, we're going to do a sum product to get us the function that we need on the left-hand side. It'll be the variables. I'm going to anchor that, make it absolute reference, with the coefficients there for budget or funds, and then drag it down. Double check it to make sure it's pointing to the right place for each thing. All right. And then over here for the objective function value, we do a sum product of the variables and the objective function coefficients. So right now it's $0, right? So now I believe we're ready to solve this thing in Excel. So I click on F2, I go to data solver. F2 is my objective function because that's the one I picked. We're maximizing, right? Because this is the net present value stuff. By changing B2 through C2, subject to the constraints. All three of them are less than or equal to constraints, so I can add all three at the same time. Less than or equal to, and the right-hand side has to be a number or a function that results in a number. That is not an if statement. Click OK. Make sure they're non-negative and make sure we're doing simplex LP. And let's click solve. Solver found the solution. All constraints and optimality conditions are satisfied. I'm not going to kick out any reports right now. Click OK. And notice what we find is we do not get an integer solution to this problem as we had hoped we would. We get 2.479, 3.25, 73.574. Is that okay? Hopefully you said no. I cannot buy 2.47 townhouses. I can't go to a real estate agent and say, hey, I only want 2.4793388 townhouses. Right? They'll laugh at you. Apartment buildings, same thing. You can't buy 3 1/4 apartment buildings. So this doesn't help us. So the question now is, what do we do about fractions when we need integer solutions? So we'll pick that up in the next video.